Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. This is probably going to be my last video exposing Barack Obama. Notice that he's still on the news, and the reason is that using him they want to give credit to the Democratic Party by saying how much better he was than Donald Trump. And so whenever Trump deliberately acts like an idiot as part of the whole show and scripted history that they give us, Obama is brought up in order to keep the system going and get people to still believe in democracy and hope to change things by voting for a Democrat in the next election. In other words, is to continue the delusional belief in democracy. And as I explained on my video titled How the Illuminati Made Trump President, the reason why Trump kept saying the elections are rigged was so that when he became president it would appear as though the elections were real and Trump and the conspiracy theorists were wrong. And that is why all the fake conspiracy theorists said that Trump will lose the election, with the exception of Michael Moore, who of course supports the Democrats, and he supported Barack Obama's presidency and election, and is part of the mainstream media narrative and propaganda. And in fact, he has started many of the fake conspiracy theories that the shills on the internet constantly try to mix with the real conspiracies. And unless you're new to my work, I'm sure you remember that I predicted both the presidency of Trump and Obama. I predicted Trump's victory at least 7 months in advance, and I predicted Obama a year before he became president and 10 months before he was elected. And although YouTube has now censored all my videos since 2008, I filmed my YouTube page where you can actually see the date when the video was first uploaded, and you can watch my videos exposing Trump now on archive.org.
On the 10th of January 2008, I made a video revealing that Barack Obama is an Illuminati and a Zionist. On this video, I predicted that Barack Obama is going to become the next president, and I explained why the Illuminati have chosen Barack Obama to become the next president of the United States.
But I made that video a very long time ago, and much has taken place since. The same tactics that the media is saying that even Trump didn't know that he was going to become president, even though I knew and predicted it, and I even showed the clip of George Carlin, who indirectly exposed Trump's staged presidency and election 10 years ago, just before his death or murder. So if I knew, and even George Carlin knew, even before me, then please have no doubt that the elections are completely fake and staged. In fact, I even predicted that Obama will supposedly weaken Al-Qaeda in Pakistan 3 years before he supposedly killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. I exposed it in 2008, and he supposedly did it in 2011. This was on my video titled How the Illuminati Made Obama President Part 1, which I uploaded on the night before he was elected as president. Stop the war in Iraq, destroy or greatly weaken Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Pakistan, make America far more liberal, less religious, and introduce some socialist laws and policies. Destroy or greatly weaken Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Destroy or greatly weaken Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Destroy or greatly weaken Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Destroy or greatly weaken Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Pakistan. As for why the Democrats pretend to be against the Republicans and the Republicans pretend to be against the Democrats, well, I've already explained that on previous videos, but on this video I want to explain this on a spiritual level rather than a political level. Remember, I showed all the way back in 2008, before Obama was even elected, that Fox News were faking their opposition towards Obama, and several years later I showed a clip of Fox News pretending to oppose Obama, while at the same time they had writings in the background defending Obama and saying how much that they were saying that they were praising the King of Jordan, but on the background they were actually implying that Obama is even better than the King of Jordan. So apparently they were defending the Taoist King of Jordan, but subliminally they were defending Barack Obama, their supposed opponent.
Jordan's King Abdullah is building a coalition to carry out swift revenge on ISIS.
The king himself has turned the tables on ISIS.
I couldn't be more impressed with the way the King of Jordan has handled this.
It's a vision of specific strength, both in word and deed.
Look, I like this King Abdullah guy. He's a real leader, unlike the present occupant of our White House.
I don't know what else it's going to take to convince the president to get involved. I wish we had that. We crave that in the United States.
Can we just point out the difference between President Obama and the King of Jordan?
Who do you think is tougher against ISIS? Is it King Abdullah or President Obama? For me, the answer is obvious.
Projecting this image that is out there on social media of here's a guy who's going to kick their butts. Just look at that picture.
He just needs to stand up. He needs to be courageous.
It doesn't seem like he really wants to do that. I mean, I'm just being frank.
He just needs to stand up. He needs to be courageous.
It doesn't like he really wants to do that. I mean, I'm just being frank.
And this is despite the fact that Fox News is supposedly very unfair towards Obama and the Democrats and very biased. I mean, they are biased, but they're supposedly biased against the Democrats. So why, if Fox News, InfoWars, the Republicans, the neocons, or whatever you want to call them, secretly supported Obama and were trying to make us like him, then why did they accuse him of being a secret Muslim? Why did all these groups that were saying so many that were subliminally or indirectly defending Obama, why were they also saying that he's a secret Muslim? Why did they try to link him to terrorism? Why did they sometimes refer to him as Osama instead of Obama? Well, on this video we will inshallah see that this is to do with the spiritual manipulation, not just mental or political manipulation that I've already explained in great detail on my early videos. In other words, what I'm explaining here is similar to what I explained about Arnold Schwarzenegger on my Soothsayers Conspiracy video series. I already explained what I meant by the Soothsayers Conspiracy, the Fitra, and why the Illuminati want to copy the Fitra. I don't want to repeat everything I said all over again, so I recommend that you first watch my video series titled The Soothsayers Conspiracy using Arnold Schwarzenegger if you want to fully understand this video. I haven't yet finished making that video series. I only uploaded the first 7 parts, but even if you watch the first 4 or 5 parts, it's enough to understand this video right now and what I'm about to explain about Obama on this video. So anyway, continuing, just as many celebrities were copying me in many different ways, Obama was actually meant to be a copy of Osama bin Laden. And just as Arnold and other people I exposed eventually tried to move their followers in the opposite direction like a snake eating its own tail, Obama likewise did the same thing. And the way this worked was that at first Obama spoke a lot of truth during the elections. He even promised to expose 9/11. He claimed to oppose gay marriage, and he said that he wants to stop all the wars, including the war in Afghanistan. And whenever he wanted to give a speech, sometimes when he would give a speech, before that they would chant, the people in the background, they would chant, give peace a chance, like he was the peace president. But later the trick they used was that the neocons or Republicans would accuse him of doing the very things that he had promised he was going to do, and making it seem like a bad thing. So they would say it's a bad thing that Obama is delivering on his promises, even though he wasn't delivering on his promises at all. And even though people supported Obama because of those promises and claims he had made before the elections. Obama and the Democrats would then stand up and defend themselves from the neocon Fox News accusations by saying, no, we aren't doing those things. The Republicans are liars. And by doing so, they try to manipulate people into thinking that all the things that Obama had promised and claimed about himself were bad things. In other words, first they told you what you wanted to hear. First Obama told you what you wanted to hear from him. Then they tried to manipulate you into thinking that what you wanted was bad, and that we must prove we are good, decent human beings, and prove that Fox News and the Republicans are wrong about us Democrats and President Obama. So, for example, the Republicans would complain about Obama supposedly being too peaceful and for not attacking the Muslims, supposedly. And then the Democrats would say, no, see, Obama is a great guy. He bombed and killed hundreds of Muslims just yesterday. See, he continued the war in Iraq, and he even sent more troops to Afghanistan. So see, he's a good guy, he's a good person. He's not a bad person, the Republicans are wrong. In fact, let me tell you a very interesting fact. Every American president has either ended a war or has become a president at a time of peace and was then replaced after starting a war by a new president who ended that war. No president has, before Obama, no president came to power during war and continued the war all throughout his presidency. Every president who has started a war has been replaced by a president who ended that war. Obama, however, was the first president who was at war at the beginning of his presidency and remained at war to the very end of his second term of presidency. If any other president had done this, it could have resulted in a massive revolt and a real revolution. So how did the Zionist military-industrial complex get away with this? By portraying Obama as being very anti-war. In fact, he came to power in the name of peace and ending all wars, and by being the first non-white president who was the son of a Muslim and studied at a Muslim school, hence supposedly having sympathy for Muslims whom America was at war with at that time. So the biggest warmonger in American history was given a Nobel Peace Prize. And what did his fake opponents say? The neocons and Fox News distracted the American public by complaining about how peaceful he is and how lenient he is towards the Muslims, how well he treats our Muslim enemies. You see, it's always about giving people a false choice. A, do you hate Obama for being too soft on Muslim terrorists due to his Muslim origin? Or B, do you support Obama for being a Zionist warmonger who killed more Muslims than even George Bush? Do you support him for hating Muslims, or do you support him, or do you hate him for sympathizing with the Muslims? That was the choice the American people were given. And so they tried to associate enmity towards Obama, complaining about Obama, with Islam, as if you hate Obama, then that means you hate Islam. And so if people hated Obama, then they had to support the wars against the Muslims, which Obama was actually doing. You see, that's how they stopped the American people from revolting against Obama. Because they were saying that, oh, you hate Obama? Yeah, we hate him too because he's a Muslim. But the real reason why people were turning against Obama, the real people, was because he was continuing these wars. But the media tried to alter the narrative and confuse the people by associating enmity towards Obama to enmity towards Muslims. So if you're against Obama, you're not allowed to be against wars, because the wars are against Muslims. And Obama, the Fox News and neocons were accusing Obama of being a Muslim. So they were saying Obama is a Muslim, so if you're against Obama, you have to support the war against the Muslims, even though Obama was leading the war against the Muslims. You see how they were deceiving people? By controlling the narrative, the Zionists put people under the illusion that Obama is peaceful towards the Muslims, and used this president or actor to make more war against the Muslims in support of Zionism than during the presidency of anyone else in the American history, even George W. Bush. You see, because even George Bush didn't begin his presidency with a war against Muslims. He began the war after 9/11. So the biggest enemy of Muslims in the entire American history, in the entire presidential history of America, was Barack Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. He has actually been the biggest enemy of Muslims militarily. But you see how they try to control the narrative? You hate Obama? Oh, then you hate Muslims. You're only allowed to hate Obama for being a Muslim. You're not allowed to hate him for making wars against the Muslims. So through this propaganda, they got people to think that it's good that Obama is contradicting himself, even though people were actually inclined towards Obama due to his similarities to Muslims in general and to Osama bin Laden in particular. You see, it was a spiritual inclination, because most people are misguided, and misguided people are confused about their fitra, and the fitra is your spiritual inclination towards the truth with which you are born with, as I explained in detail in the past. And I even showed that the Illuminati and the Illuminati occult groups such as the Scientologists actually believe this, but they hate the fitra. They refer to the fitra as implants. Some of them call them Martian implants or Saturnian implants. But that's actually, so they actually believe that it's real. They actually do believe that people are born with the fitra. They just use a different name for it and they hate it. So this is why the neocons, especially Fox News, were making Obama look like Osama bin Laden. And then the Democrats and Obama would refute them and prove them wrong by doing things very different from Osama or the Muslims. What they were actually doing on a spiritual level was that the neocons were trying to confuse your fitra into thinking that Obama is who you are inclined towards through your heart, meaning that he is the one the angels told you to follow before you were born. So then you would look towards Obama with hope. Hope. Remember, that was a slogan of his campaign, hope. So then you would look towards Obama with hope that he was the one. But then he would try to make you eat your own tail symbolically. And as I explained before, the snake eating its own tail is a satanic symbol by which the Illuminati want to possess you with. And its meaning is that you must eat your own past. And by the past, they mean your fitra, your original spiritual inclination towards Islam that you were born with. So you see, what they often do is that they give you a fake fitra at first, and then they try to turn you against it and transform you into a new satanic being without any real spiritual inclination towards your original fitra. In other words, they try to make you completely reject your fitra, which is the very definition of a kafir. So first they give you a fake fitra, and the fake fitra is symbolized, for example, by the swastika and the Nazis. Why? Because the Nazis were the fake opposition to the satanic Zionist agenda. And this is why Iran, which is another fake opposition to Zionism, also uses a lot of Nazi symbols, and their military even give the Nazi hand sign. You see, the Nazis and the conservative Shias are examples of the fake fitra, and the Satanists give you at first a fake choice. But then those very same Nazis and Shias try to move you towards supporting Zionism, which is exactly what we are seeing Trump doing today. First, he was portrayed as a Nazi. Remember, during the elections, they portrayed him as a Nazi. His own supporters, he himself, portrayed himself as a Nazi, and he surrounded himself with these fake Nazis. And yet now he is attacking the Palestinians and promoting and supporting and praising Israel and Zionism. And you have to remember that Trump was always a Zionist. If you study his past, you find that many years ago he was studying the Kabbalah. So it's not like he he was a Nazi and now he's slowly becoming enlightened and becoming a liberal Zionist. No, he was always a liberal Zionist. He just played that fake role during the elections because he was trying to be the fake fitra, you see. And likewise, Iran helped the Zionists invade Afghanistan and Iraq, and they tried to push Muslims into supporting the Zionist government of Russia and the Zionist-run UN, which was literally created by the Zionist Rockefeller family. And shamelessly, Iran is telling people to support Russia and the UN, even though Russia and the UN are easily provably Zionist-run entities. Now you understand why in 2008 the neocons, and especially Fox News, used to call Obama not just a Muslim, but they also called him a Nazi. They called him a Muslim and they called him a Nazi at the same time. In fact, you may not remember this because it died down very quickly. It was mostly during the elections in 2008. Of course, this whole propaganda didn't even make any logical sense because it wasn't based on anything. And remember, they said the same thing about George W. Bush, that if you hate him, then he's a Nazi. But if you like him, then he's a Zionist. Likewise, if you hate Obama, then he's a terrorist, a Muslim, and a Nazi. But if you like Obama, then he's a good liberal Zionist. And now if you hate Trump, he's a Nazi. But if you like him, he's a good Zionist who is moving the conservatives more towards liberalism and respecting homosexuals and so on. Now think about it. Who wants this? Who benefits from this agenda? Who wants people to always associate evil and bad things with Muslims and Nazis and good things with Zionists? Why is it that the media keeps saying these presidents are good Zionists or they are bad Nazis or bad Muslims? Who benefits from this agenda? Obviously, it's the Zionists. Who are the people who constantly complain about Nazis and Muslims? It's the Zionists. So that's why all over television they always say this is a good president because he's a Zionist. This is a bad president because he's a Nazi. They want to divide people into these two groups. Okay, the president is a bad Nazi or a bad Muslim, or he's a good Zionist. it's obvious that the media is run by Zionists. That's why they're doing this. So don't listen to all these people who say, no, the media is not run by Zionists, it's run by different agenda. It's clear from their narrative, the narrative that they had for the past 30, 40 years or more. It's clear from the media narrative that their agenda is pro-Zionist and anti-Muslim. So anyway, if you watched Fox News and supported their narrative, then you would already be totally brainwashed, and that serves the agenda of the Illuminati. But if you watched Fox News and wanted to move away from them and you sought an alternative, then the alternative they presented to you was Barack Obama. And they really made Obama seem like the alternative by portraying him as being anti-Zionist, a Nazi, a Muslim, and a terrorist on the neocon Fox News Republican channels. So if you were inclined towards any such groups and genuinely wanted to oppose the governments and the Fox News and neocon channels, the Fox News narrative was given to you to attract you towards Obama. In other words, if you want to get away from Fox News, then go and support Obama. Go and support the Democrats. Go and support those guys. That's the side that they wanted to push you towards. They wanted to push you towards supporting Obama, who was a fake solution or alternative to the right-wing agenda. So if you were tired of George Bush and the right-wing Zionists, and you wanted to somehow fight them and join some anti-Zionist group or Muslim group, they try to make you think that your hope is in Obama, and that's why they even programmed children to support Obama years in advance in many movies such as The Lion King and A Time to Kill. And remember, I explained that subliminal messages are there in order to replace your original subconscious, also known as the Fetra, with the media programming. If you watch my video titled "What are subliminal messages?", you see that subliminal messages are basically a fake Fetra. That's why they go inside your mind subliminally, so that you won't realize that they are replacing your Fetra. So in other words, when Fox or the neocons now try to push you towards supporting Obama, you also had an inclination within you to accept Obama, which you may feel as your Fetra, but was in fact the subliminals they fed you through movies, cartoons, and songs since you were a child. So they put those subliminal messages in your mind so that later Fox News and the neocons and the fake Christians, the conservative party in America, could push you towards supporting Obama. However, once you started supporting Obama, voting for him, going to his rallies, listening to his speeches, and following his policies, you ended up doing the same things that George Bush and his supporters were doing right before. You ended up supporting Israel. You ended up supporting the bombing of Muslims. You ended up hating real Christians whom the media calls Nazis. You ended up supporting homosexuality and gay marriage, and even continuing to promote the same official narrative of 9/11 as George W. Bush. So in the end, you became like a snake eating its own tail, and thus becoming a supporter of Zionism and being completely possessed by Shaitan, by this satanic snake who had been deceiving men since the time of our creation, since the Garden of Eden. Now let's compare the terms used by the media and the so-called alternative media for Osama bin Laden with the terms they used for Barack Obama. Osama bin Laden was called Osama because that's his name. Obama was also, however, called Osama constantly on the media. Osama bin Laden was called a Muslim because he's a Muslim. But they also accused Obama of being a Muslim. Osama bin Laden was called an Arab. Obama was also accused of being an Arab, especially on Fox News. Osama bin Laden was called a terrorist. Obama was also accused of being a terrorist, and especially because of his links to Bill Ayers, who was convicted of terrorism. Osama bin Laden was accused of funding terrorism around the world. Obama was also accused of funding terrorism around the world, according to the alternative media and many of the disinformation agents such as Infowars and many others. Osama bin Laden was accused of being a secret Jew. Some of the fake conspiracy theorists accused Osama bin Laden of being a secret Jew. For example, some of the Shias and some of the disinformation agents, they accused him of that. Obama was also accused of being a secret Jew. Even though I always said that he's actually a Satanist, but many other conspiracy theorists said that he's a secret Jew. Osama bin Laden was assassinated in 2001, although he supposedly got assassinated in 2011. Obama was also constantly supposedly going to be assassinated. They kept reporting over and over again that people were trying to assassinate Obama, both before his presidency and all throughout the 8 years of his presidency. They kept saying that they're going to assassinate Obama. Osama bin Laden was called the Antichrist by the neocon Bush supporters in 2001. Obama was also accused of being the Antichrist, according to many disinformation agents. They kept trying to pressure me to say this as well. Many people sent me messages on the internet saying I have to say that Obama is the Antichrist, but I never fell for it. Osama bin Laden was accused of being an agent of Saudi Arabia. For example, according to some of the liberals like Michael Moore. Obama was also accused of being an agent of Saudi Arabia, according to the neoconservatives like Fox News. Osama bin Laden is said to be left-handed. Obama is also said to be left-handed. Osama bin Laden complained about global warming or climate change in his fake 2004 video. In the video that came out after his death, where he said that he is responsible for 9/11 during the elections. He complained about global warming or climate change. Obama also constantly complained about global warming or climate change. So what is the reason behind all these amazing similarities? As I said before, it's because they want to confuse your fitra. That is why they tell so many lies either about Obama or about Osama to make them seem like the same person. And this is similar to my video. If you watched my video, The Soothsayer's Conspiracy, using Arnold Schwarzenegger, they did the same thing to Osama bin Laden that they did to me. It's the same thing. And inshallah, I will explain more about this on part 2 of this video.
This was the time when we came together to remake this great nation so that it may always reflect our very best selves and our highest ideals.
The passion, the excitement.
بحقد صليبي المنابع قيصر ودارت رحى الحرب التي لم تكن سوى ثواني رعب بل أقل وأقصر وكان مع النصر المحقق موعد فلم يتقدم لا ولم يتأخر فطارت رؤوس الكفر في كل وجهة وأشلاؤها من حولها تتبعثر.
We owe our children a better future. We owe our country a better future. I say, let us begin to work together. Let us unite in common effort to chart a new course for America.
وفي عدن هبوا وشدوا ودمروا مدمرة يخشى البأس بأسها تزيدك رعبا حين ترسو وتبحر.
This was the time when we came together to remake this great nation so that it may always reflect our very best selves and our highest ideals.
The passion, the excitement.
أتقعد لا الأبطال رصوا صفوفهم ولا القدس من أيدي المغيرين حرروا. أتقعد لا الأشبال داووا جراحهم ولا جثث الأطفال لفوا ودثروا. فأين بنو الإسلام إذ حمي الوغى فهل استجابوا للإله وشمروا. وليس بنو الإسلام إلا نجائب بفقدك أضنتها المصيبة ضمروا. ولكنهم رغم الجراح يقينهم بعودة أمجاد الخلافة يكبر. وأن حلول الخائنين جميعها هباء على درب الجهاد يبعثر. وقد أقسموا بالله أن جهادهم سيمضي ولو كسرى تحدى وقيصر.
This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today. Welcome to the desert of the real.